morning, noon, evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Legend and welcome back to World of Tanks and the NBTT'ay Replay series, where we feature the best replays sent in by the members of the NBTT clan. And this time we are watching WoT, translated to Sea God, and well, he's going to be an absolute god in this game, playing in his E25. German tier 7 premium tank destroyer. One of the oldest premium tank destroyers, and with many of those tank destroyed back in that day, you will not lose camo rating while firing. You will see that on display in this replay on some occasions as well. Although the E25 is known for its stealth, he eventually does get spotted by the view range of the Tiger II. But that isn't really because he fired. The Tiger II simply came too close and apparently has very good view range. And you will see that again, by not firing, he still gets spotted by the Tiger II. So in that case, it wasn't his firing, it was simply the Tiger II being too close. So after hiding behind solid cover for a while, he is going to another position to fire his gun rapidly in stealth at the next enemy target he finds. And even though the enemy E25 is already quite close, he still doesn't get spotted. And this is what the E25 is all about, just being able to fire and not getting spotted at all, despite not utilizing the solid push mechanic. However, his stealth fire on this flank isn't enough to discourage the enemy forces from advancing further. And soon after retreating slightly, he is retreating even further, going to the next location where he can fire from a greater distance without getting spotted, even in the open with no bushes at all. Making excellent use and having great insight of this classic TD mechanic, of not losing your camo while firing. Another perk with a rapid fire gun, of course, are the critical hits, as he also gets a fire off and damages multiple internal modules. But eventually the VK does get a little bit too close and he cannot utilize his camo with the pushes as well. And now alone against the VK30, who makes a dire mistake by trying to face hug Seagull. Because the E25 is so low profiled, he hasn't got enough gun depression to hit him back. And immediately after noticing that, Seagull fully commits to this newfound strategy of just face-hugging the enemy VK. After the medium has been dealt with, he tries to help out his Soma, his tier 8 heavy tank, which is a great thing to do if you are a lower tier, is to support your top tier vehicles to ensure the biggest chance to win, which, while every chance they now have is very valuable as they are behind on several thousands of hit points. Now the heavy VK shows up and Seagull does a great outflanking maneuver and surprises the VK from behind. And now he utilizes the same tactic, but only after ramming the heavy tank for a little bit too fast. But once again, the VK cannot hit him back because of lack of gun depression. And quickly after dealing with the Achilles, as soon as the shipwreck got destroyed, he has a clean shot. So great bit of patience right there, not firing immediately because, well, then your shot will get into the wreck. Doesn't deal any damage. The Achilles could fire back. You can still kill the Achilles, but that arty shot right after would definitely be the end of Seagull if he was more trigger happy. And now back to supporting the Soma. Somehow his shot on that T-34-100 missed. Don't really know what happened right there, but unfortunately because of that, the T-34-100 could finish off the Soma without taking any damage. So he does what he has done the whole game, falling back to a more advantageous position. This time with push cover to kill the T-34-100 in full stealth. Almost get hit by the SPG there, who guessed the push correctly, but luckily the shot missed and it is hunting season. Hunting the last enemy SPG. And well, If I'm looking at the damage right here, which is over 5,000, this is going to be a very great win for Seagull right here. It might come close to some of the experience and damage records, maybe even though the record of this very patch, not only of the NBTT clan. So Seagull is just striving towards the finish after he encounters the last SPG. Doesn't get a clear shot on him because of lack of gun depression. Tries to fall back, but does get into the line of fire of the artillery that way. Who has enough time to finish him off? My god. The heartbreak is real. Unfortunately, one last mistake on the end. Just unfortunate timing on an unfortunate location. Seagull had to, drive further forward, going so low that the SPG couldn't hit him with the gun depression in that ditch, but instead he tries to fall back behind cover, but that way the SPG could hit him. And, that's all that it takes, unfortunately. However, despite being in defeat, he still gets a feature on the NBTT'ay Replay, which, tells you a lot about what he actually achieved despite not winning the match. An ace tanker, that is, of course, and alongside with the high caliber and the tank sniper, which isn't really a surprise, dealing 5,000 damage with most of them at long ranges. These medals are pretty much a given. Now, interestingly, his experience total does match the experience total of a loss, being 1170. That way, he actually didn't get the highest XP, so he shouldn't be featured on the NBTT'ay Replay, right? Well, somehow, I don't really know, the replay bot on our Discord server does count the experience earned as if it were a win. So actually the experience earned that was displayed on Discord, and why I chose this replay to feature, is actually 1800 base experience, which is the number 1 of that patch. And you can see that the other numbers adds up to what Seagull did in the game. So it checks out. And actually, I really like this feature. I hope the Discord mod let this in. If this is a bug, just let it exist, because it allows me to also pick out replays that, doesn't necessarily have to be a win. Sometimes replays are win, but are, not that interesting. This replay, however, with the loss being mounted towards a very good effort to kill most of the enemy tanks, does result in a lower experience amount, which leads towards, it not being considered in this series. But with, the win condition experience earned, it is actually included. And finally, even though he does fire some of his gold rounds, he still accumulated well over 100k of credit profit because, being a premium tank alongside with a premium account. So, some classic E25 gameplay, having some distances, just firing from stealth because your camo rating doesn't lower. Already as a tank, having a great camo rating does cause some of these situations where he just could fire in the open without getting spotted. But when there was no other way, he didn't hesitate in order to also help out his teammates as well as he could, and also figuring out a new strategy for close quarters combat as the medium VK tries to face him, just committing to it, accepting it because the VK couldn't hit him back because of the lack of gun depression, and utilizes this very tactic against the heavy tank VK. So great marksmanship and great adaptation, that is what the E25 is all about. But unfortunately, at the very end, just a slight miscalculation on how fast the artillery could fire back at him. And also one other small mistake against the heavy tank VK was in order to attempt the face hug tactic again. He unfortunately rammed him slightly too hard, losing him also some hit points, which might have been enough to take that final artillery shot. So with those accumulating 2 mistakes, it's unfortunately a loss, but does not take away some of the great things we have seen in this replay. So hopefully you enjoyed it and learned from it. That will be it for this video, and I will see you next time. Laters.